10 years ago, no one took Hyundai or Kia seriously. They were the cheap cars, what you bought when you couldn't afford a Civic or a Camry. But something happened. Quietly, then suddenly, they started winning design awards, launching cutting-edge EVs. And today, they're being compared to BMW and Mercedes, not just Honda and Toyota. You're about to find out exactly how Kia and Hyundai blindsided the auto industry and why Toyota might be the next to fall. This isn't just an underdog story anymore. It's a full-blown shakeup. Let's get into it. Then versus now. If you drove a Hyundai or a Kia back in the early 2000s, chances are someone gave you a hard time for it. These cars were known for being cheap, underpowered, and kind of forgettable. They were the cars you bought when you couldn't afford anything else. You'd walk past the Civic, glance at the Corolla, and settle for an Elantra or a Rio because, well, it was $5,000 cheaper and had a good warranty. But that was the old Kia and Hyundai, the pre-makeover versions. Back then, quality control was shaky, design was bland, and no one expected much. The phrase, "you get what you pay for," really applied here. Fast forward to today, and the transformation is nothing short of mind-blowing. Kia's Telluride isn't just good for a Kia. It's a legit award-winning SUV that's gone head-to-head with luxury brands and won. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 looks like a retro futuristic concept car that somehow made it to production. And it didn't just get there, it owns the space it plays in. And then there's the Genesis line. This is Hyundai's luxury division, but if you didn't know that, you might have assumed it was its own premium European brand. The Genesis G90 is whisper quiet, insanely refined, and packed with features that rival or outclass Mercedes and BMW for way less money. Meanwhile, Honda has been pretty safe. Reliable? Absolutely. But bold? Not really. While Hyundai and Kia were throwing punches with edgy designs, bold drivetrains, and fully digital cockpits, Honda stuck to what it knew, refining instead of reinventing. And that strategy is starting to feel dated, especially with younger buyers who want more than just a reliable engine. The result? Hyundai and Kia are no longer budget alternatives. In some segments, they are the benchmarks. Key breakthroughs. So how did this turnaround actually happen? Honestly, it wasn't luck. Hyundai and Kia made a series of bold strategic moves, many of which legacy brands didn't see coming or didn't take seriously until it was too late. The first major game changer was design. In 2006, Hyundai shocked the industry by hiring Peter Schreier, the former Audi designer behind the legendary Audi TT and VW Golf. This wasn't just a resume flex, it was a message. They were done playing in the shallow end. Schreier brought European-style minimalism, aggressive proportions, and design consistency. Suddenly, Kia cars started to look sharp, and Hyundai started having the presence it lacked. Next came the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, a bold move that said, "We believe in our quality now." It was a smart way to erase the bad memories from the 90s and early 2000s when reliability was a punchline. People were skeptical at first, but the cars backed it up. Year after year, Hyundai and Kia started climbing the reliability charts. JD Power, Consumer Reports, and even industry insiders had to admit the quality was real. They also doubled down on technology and electric vehicles way earlier than most expected. Hyundai's eGMP platform, which underpins the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and Kia EV6, was built from the ground up for EVs. That means faster charging, better efficiency, and more flexibility in design. Stuff that legacy platforms just couldn't pull off without compromises. And then came Genesis, Hyundai's unexpected move into the luxury world. At first, it looked like a long shot. After all, how do you convince people to drop 50 grand on a Hyundai? But Genesis came with real luxury, performance, and refinement. Today, models like the GV70 and G80 are getting insane reviews. And the G90? It's already being called a proper S-Class rival for nearly $30,000 less. Put all of this together, the bold design, aggressive warranties, rapid EV development, and a serious luxury brand, and you start to see how Hyundai and Kia didn't just catch up. They leaped forward while others were still trying to decide if the game had even changed. Comparing and leapfrogging major players. Now, it's one thing to improve your own cars, but it's another thing entirely to start outperforming the big names you used to chase. And that's exactly what Hyundai and Kia are doing right now. Let's start with the EV6 from Kia and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. These aren't just good electric cars, they're some of the best in the business. And we're not talking about best for the price or best for a non-luxury brand. We're talking direct comparisons with the Tesla Model Y and even the Ford Mustang Mach-E. In head-to-head range, comfort, and especially real-world build quality, the EV6 and Iconic 5 are holding their own or outright winning. They both sit on Hyundai's advanced eGMP platform, which gives them ultra-fast charging times, adding nearly 80% battery in under 20 minutes with the right charger. That's something Tesla still holds a slight lead in when using their supercharger network, but in every other area, Hyundai and Kia have closed the gap dramatically. Plus, the interiors are friendlier, more intuitive, and filled with actual buttons instead of touch-everything panels that many drivers are getting fed up with. Even in safety and tech, which used to be Toyota and Honda's strongholds, Hyundai and Kia are coming out ahead. The Ioniq 6 was just named one of the safest vehicles on the road by the IIHS. Hyundai SmartSense and Kia DriveWise offer semi-autonomous features, blind spot cameras, adaptive cruise, lane centering, and even self-parking. Features that were once reserved for luxury brands. And in most cases, these features come standard or are bundled in affordable packages, not locked behind expensive trim levels. The message is loud and clear. Hyundai and Kia are no longer aiming to be almost as good as the industry leaders. They're actually pulling ahead, one segment at a time. Reactions from legacy brands. You'd think that kind of momentum would spark an urgent response from the big names, but that hasn't really been the case, at least not across the board. Let's look at Honda first. Their reaction has been measured, maybe even a little too relaxed. Honda is still heavily leaning on the reputation it built in the 90s and 2000s, a time when they were miles ahead of the competition in engineering, efficiency, and long-term reliability. But today, those advantages have narrowed, and in some cases disappeared entirely. The Honda Civic is still a good car, but it no longer leads its class like it used to. The Accord, while polished, plays it very safe. Even the new CR-V, though redesigned, doesn't bring anything dramatically new to the table. And their electric future? The much-hyped Prologue is a rebadged Chevy Blazer EV, built on GM's Ultium platform. It's a joint venture that screams playing catch-up, not leading innovation. Toyota, on the other hand, is trying to stay ahead, but even they've stumbled recently. While the brand dominated the hybrid game for over a decade, they were surprisingly slow to fully embrace battery electric vehicles. The BZ4X, Toyota's big EV push, was delayed, launched with limited availability, and struggled with basic things like charging speed and range. And let's not forget the embarrassing early recall due to the wheels literally falling off. That's not the Toyota people are used to. Now compare that to Hyundai's Ioniq lineup, which has been smooth, stylish, and well-reviewed from the start. Or Kia's EV9, which is already shaping up to be a home run in the three-row electric SUV market. These aren't just competitive models, they're frontrunners. What's surprising is how BMW and Mercedes have started to take Genesis seriously, while Toyota and Honda are still acting like Hyundai and Kia are the same underdogs from 20 years ago. In Europe, Genesis is welcomed as a legitimate luxury alternative. Car journalists are openly saying the G80 and GV70 feel more refined and better built than their German counterparts at a lower price. When was the last time you heard anyone say that about a new Lexus? Even more telling, brands like Ford and GM are starting to treat Hyundai and Kia as direct competition in their internal strategy reports. There's real respect building, and you can feel it in the way the market is reacting. The old guard is slowly waking up, but the Korean duo isn't slowing down to wait. They're pushing harder, investing more, and winning customers who used to swear they'd never buy a Korean car. That loyalty gap is shrinking fast, and unless Toyota and Honda reinvent their playbook soon, they might find themselves outpaced the same way Honda already has. What this means for buyers. So here's the real question for everyday car shoppers. With all this momentum from Hyundai and Kia, and the slip-ups from some of the old leaders, how should you actually think about these brands today? Well, the first thing to realize is that Hyundai and Kia are no longer the budget picks people used to settle for. They're now competitive, confident options that should be on anyone's test drive list. And not just in the lower price ranges. Whether you're shopping for a compact crossover, a fully electric family hauler, or even a luxury sedan, they've got something that not only competes, but often outshines what the traditional brands are offering. And it's not just about specs, it's about the entire ownership experience. Hyundai and Kia are still offering some of the best warranties in the industry. That 10-year or 100,000-mile powertrain coverage is unmatched by Toyota, Honda, or pretty much anyone else in the mainstream market. For buyers who plan to keep their car a long time or don't want surprise repair bills down the road, that's a huge point in their favor. Then there's technology. If you want a car with a big, intuitive touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the driver assistance tech that actually works without feeling buggy or outdated, Hyundai and Kia have you covered. Some Toyotas and Hondas still make you pay extra for basic tech features, or require confusing trim packages to unlock stuff that should be standard in 2025. Even resale value, which used to be a weakness for Hyundai and Kia, is starting to shift. The Telluride holds value extremely well. The Ioniq 5 is turning heads in the used EV market, and Genesis vehicles, while still new to the game, are getting strong feedback from owners and journalists alike, which could translate to stronger resale confidence over time. The bigger picture here is this. For years, Toyota and Honda earned their dominance. They were safe, smart buys that you could recommend without thinking twice. But Hyundai and Kia have taken that formula, modernized it, and added style, innovation, and better value. That means buyers now have better choices. The market has opened up in a way that few people saw coming. If you're still avoiding Hyundai and Kia because of what they were 15 years ago, you're stuck in the past. The truth is, in 2025, they're not underdogs anymore. They're leaders. And if Toyota doesn't step up their EV game fast, they might be the next ones playing catch-up. This whole shift in the auto world feels like a wake-up call. A decade ago, people laughed off Korean cars. Today, those same brands are setting benchmarks and pushing the industry forward. It's not hype. It's not a fluke. Hyundai, Kia, and even Genesis have earned their place at the top, and they did it by taking bold risks, listening to what drivers want, and executing with relentless focus. Meanwhile, Honda has already been caught off guard. They're still making decent cars, but they're no longer dictating where the industry goes. And Toyota is starting to feel the pressure too. Their hybrid legacy is strong, but it's not enough anymore. Not when Hyundai and Kia are building full EV platforms, innovating fast, and grabbing attention across the board. So where did you stand? Do you still trust the old leaders, or are you ready to give the new champions a chance? Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you buy a Hyundai or a Kia today? Or do you still feel they need to prove something? And if you found this video helpful or eye-opening, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got more deep dives coming up.